Everyone ready? All right, we are on.
Third side.
Be good. Listen. Be good. Good evening. It is Wednesday, January 21st. It is 6:37. I'm calling this Laws and Rules meeting to order. In attendance, we have returning council members, Alderwoman Carol Mickens, Alderman Bob Dennison, myself, Chair Michelle Hirsch, Andrea Shaw is sitting in, and then we have two new council members serving on Laws and Rules. Welcome. Alderwoman Ruby Katz and Alderwoman Marissa Maravelli. Also in attendance, we have our Director of Housing Initiatives, Bartek Faragaj, and is all. And then we have our clerk, Elisa Tinti, online, and visiting council member, Michael Pound. So first item on the agenda is coming back to us from November, and this is building permit lengths. Legislation updates, and we will have Bartek join us. Do you have something to share on the screen? Or
I could if that would be easier for everyone.
Sit.
A second to get on the line here. Okay, so and I just chose to upgrade my office. As was just mentioned, this is left over from a November committee meeting, having to do with the length of our building permits. The current length of our building permits is 12 months. However, in the course of some research, I came to find out that that is actually an abnormal length. Typically, when we compare ourselves to peer municipalities in the Hudson Valley, communities such as Beacon or Poughkeepsie, the building permit lengths are actually much longer, to the tune of 2 years. So our building permit lengths are unnecessarily restrictive. You might say, well, it's important that a permit holder, renew their permit on some sort of ongoing basis, but there's really no logical reason behind the year timeline. It really just serves to increase the administrative burden on the building department staff, and also presents an undue burden on the permit holders. And so I presume to start. So the intent of these changes is to bring us more in line with some of our peers, and also to reflect the realities of the building process, which is that it doesn't necessarily take 12 months, especially when we talk about larger projects. So the specific changes that are again before this committee tonight is to increase the length of building permits for projects over 10,000 square feet to 18 months, from 12 months to 18 months, and also introduce a provision for a 6-month extension, which would bring the total length to 24 months. In addition, someone holding a 12-month permit, right, that doesn't qualify based on their 10,000 square foot threshold, they could also request that 6-month extension. So, in essence, the smaller projects benefit from this change, but the larger projects in particular, those over 10,000 square feet, we're talking about the larger multifamily projects, right? We'll get a 24-month permit, which is a more logical timeline for actually completing construction in Motherwell. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say. So some of the feedback that I received last time, and you see those edits reflected tonight, is there's some feedback from you about, well, what do the 12-month holders get? Like, why aren't we giving them some slack? And but they can also benefit from the extension. The second point of feedback was, are we looking properly at our fees that we charge permit holders? And the outcome of that discussion, if you recall, is that we're just about average with our peers in terms of what we're charging on a square foot basis for construction permits. And then lastly, the third piece of feedback was we went back and forth on the definition that we're using for commencement of construction because under these changes, if someone does not commence construction within 6 months, a permit expires. And so we went back and forth on, well, what does that mean to actually commence construction? And so the one change that we made was striking the clause requiring the construction to happen on a daily or regular basis. So that's the one change that was made. And that is, while I try and pull this up on the screen, I'll take any questions maybe from the new council members or any additional feedback from our returning council.
So basically, we're striking the language in section 1. Marissa?
Just so that I understand correctly, the 18 months extension is only for projects 10,000 square feet and.
So it's a 6-month extension, but it's basically a project that is over 10,000 square feet gets an 18-month permit.
Out of the gate.
Out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then they can get a 6-month extension.
But the vast majority of building permits go to projects under 10,000 square feet.
Exactly.
So this doesn't even apply to them.
Right, this will really only apply, that specific 18-month permit will really only apply for the larger multifamily projects, which is why I'm bringing, right, which is why I'm the one who's bringing the change.
And then I didn't quite hear you on the commencement part.
Mhm.
So we're removing the definition of commencement.
We're introducing a definition of
okay.
since it was actually previously undefined.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. There's a big question. Read it.
So, on the projects 10,000 and under, did I hear you correct saying that small projects can ask for the 6-month extension?
Yes.
Is there a cost that's incurred on those people asking for the 6-month extension?
Yeah, so there's something in our fee schedule for an extension, but it's a pretty nominal fee. I think it's like $75. It's nominal compared to the cost of actually getting the permit.
And how many times can they extend that?
Once.
Just once.
So it's 12 months, a 12-month permit plus a 6-month extension if they reapply
Yes.
for under 10,000.
Are we going to have a different permit fee, building permit fee for 10,000 or?
No.
Okay.
There isn't, but in the fee schedule, there is a different fee for commercial projects. And again, I think it's a fair fee to ask.
Okay, so none of that needs to be amended. Okay.
So when it comes to housing, what do you consider a commercial project?
So anything over 10,000 square feet. is
Okay, I got you on that. So no matter what it is, 10,000 triggers the commercial.
That's right.
Okay, I got clarity.
Yeah, and I think under the building code, the building department considers anything, I think it's more than 2 units to be commercial.
Oh,
I was gonna ask
Falls
about
under
that.
the commercial building
Yeah.
code. So that's a whole other thing. Yeah, so all projects over 10,000 square feet are going to be commercial.
But that doesn't align with homestead versus non-homestead, right? Because to be non-homestead, it needs to be 4 units.
Really? I
I feel like it was 4.
yeah, I
Okay.
don't know.
It's weird how it doesn't line up.
it's like different definitions for commercial.
Yeah, and then taxing. Yeah.
This may be
We're just kidding. But thank you. More for the building safety department question, but if they're getting a permit, do they also automatically get information about applying for the 6-month extension? Like, how will they know when to come back for that building safety question?
Yeah, I mean, it's a building safety question, and how they communicate
Yeah.
to the permit holders. Yeah,
Because you have to do it 30 days before they expire, and
yeah, I mean, I
I just want to make sure people are aware of the law.
right. I mean, I think this is going to be for the larger projects that will benefit. Chances are I'm going to be communicating with them anyway, but, there should be some information, obviously, from the building department side. That they're eligible for the extension, right? And
Now, does Steve Knox does know that this is being?
yeah, absolutely. So the building department has signed off on all these changes. And they're fully supportive and, they also said that from an administrative perspective, it won't be hard to implement this as well, like from, the back end, creating an 18-month permit versus a 12-month permit, but it's not.
And the extension.
Yeah.
And what happens if they, like a small unit or a larger one, they apply for the extension, they get the extension, but then they're not done with the project at the end of the extension?
Yeah, so then they have to apply for a new permit.
Oh,
Complete down permit. Yeah, so then you're-
bigger process.
Yeah, so then you're, resubmitting your original permit paperwork, you're submitting all your insurance certificates all over again. It's a whole package, the clerks have to review that.
Is the extension
Once again,
quicker process?
extension is like, yeah, we're just extending, yeah. And then yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
You don't want it to be never ending.
right.
There's a place in your board that kind of seemed like it was never ending.
Yes.
So we don't want something repeating like that. So this will help with that.
Elisa, could I share my screen? Good.
Like, no, it's the
I'll
answer.
stop there.
Any further questions? Did I hear you say, you might have further feedback or?
No,
Okay.
I think that's a good explanation.
So why 18 months instead of 24 months?
We have to start somewhere, right? I think this is a good change.
You figure you get 2 construction seasons in 18 months?
Then you can get the, pretty automatic extension.
Right.
So it ends up being 24 months because it's fair. And, this specific model of 18 plus 6, was something that I saw at Peak City. And I think it's a good system.
Perfect, I got at least an each.
Oh. Okay, so this is, okay, so this is, in the, local law that's before you. And so, as I mentioned, this applies for large commercial projects, which are defined as being in excess of 10,000 square feet, valid for an 18-month period. Permits may then be extended for one additional 6-month period, with written permission. And then we also introduced this definition for commencement of construction.
Thanks for listening to our concerns. I can judge us.
Thank you.
Sorry, this matches what was in the packet or?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
The extension.
So let's just go over the building department during the permitting period. I know
During asset construction,
yes, like certain stop work orders, I mean, does this elongation of the permit in any way affect the building department's ability to look in on the project?
no, I mean, they're gonna be checking in, right, based on whatever milestone the project has. I mean, for instance, at Golden Hill, I think there was an inspector out there every day, right? Because of, well, that's construction, yeah, but this won't really impact.
Okay.
I really see this as more of like an administrative change that just makes sense, right, rather than something that will have impact in the areas.
All right, any further questions? Not, I'm gonna call, I'm gonna read the committee report and then ask for a motion and a second. So this is a local law of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending chapter 172-5 time limits relating to the issuance of proposed building permits as per attached, because we'll include this with our committee report. Okay, so can I get a motion? Yeah. The second? Bob Dennison. Okay, so any discussion? This is where it's not a time for questions, but asking if you all want to discuss amongst yourselves or anything you want to deliberate about this.
With raising hands.
So any discussion? Yes.
Is this where there would be a conversation about like plain language or would that?
Where we would debate it.
Yeah, just
Say or add or
yeah,
change.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, do you want me to look at what you have written?
It's just part of number 4.
Part of the form?
Yeah.
I was looking at second word.
Yeah. Like, looks like it could be divided into 3 sentences instead of 1 sentence, and it would just be easier to understand. So then, a good 3rd sentence.
You can get rid of this. I mean, you could split it into 3 sentences if you want, but you don't want to get rid of this right here. That changes.
And I don't really have beef about it, it's just, I think with processes like this, it's nice for the language to be simple and people get it, simpler.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I'm a pretty good person at
Yeah.
having at the table for this. I
Yeah.
speak with languages.
That's right.
I'm fine with, like I said, that, like, we can't get rid of that,
Okay.
so. We can't get rid of that either. So really. We could do that.
What section is this?
It's number 4 up there.
Extensions?
Okay, so this is what it could be. Can you type this in there?
Yes,
Or actually, do you want to translate or do you want me to just type it quick? And I don't care either way.
I
You'll
can,
translate? Because this will just be easier and then everybody can visualize.
okay,
So it would read, this is Ruth's suggestion,
Okay.
my slight improvement. Building permit, actually, Vortex, sorry to be a pain. Do you mind like doing it, like a, don't change that, but doing like a separate blurb so then council members can compare it
Yes.
to?
So like track changes, the track change.
Yeah.
Or however.
Yeah, as long as, I just didn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So building permits may be extended for 1. And then in the parentheses, the numeral 1, additional 6-month period. with the written permission of the code enforcement officer and payment of the applicable fee. Period. Requests for extension must be made within 30 days prior to expiration of the original permit. Period. Consideration must be given if there are amendments to this chapter or to any other applicable codes, and the rest is the same. Regulations. It's probably easier for you just to read it than listening to me. Because if you can't take out the payment of the
Right.
fee,
Right,
and then, also the amendments to this chapter, besides saying other applicable code, that would mean that if you took out that amendments to this chapter, and if this was amended, then it wouldn't be applicable, so we need to have.
But consideration, always talk about monetary consideration or what's consideration?
That was Ruth's word change. Consideration, like thoughtfulness, like you have to
Can we
make
use a different word? Because consideration, I think of in terms of money. And we're not requesting additional fees, so,
David says something like any amendments to this chapter to any other applicable codes or regulations must be considered.
okay.
I put it in the wrong spot, but if you use considered, so starting with any amendments to this chapter, so get rid of all of that, yeah, any amendments to this chapter, and to any other applicable codes or regulations affecting the subject property enacted in the interim must be considered.
Yes, okay. After interim.
So right at the end of the sentence.
Okay.
Either way, legally they say the same thing, so I could care less. I agree, top or bottom. I'm not sure if it clarified it, it doesn't.
It does for me.
I'm just doing the considering.
I just want to make sure it doesn't introduce any, vagueness. I mean,
We can also compromise and just do, instead of separating it into 3 sentences, separate it into 2 sentences, because separating it into sentences is helpful, for sure. So keep
The first.
the first sentence separate, and then come with request for extension, combine and go back to what it was written before.
The way it is, the new way, the way you just edited what I said, to me is super clear. And the way it was written before, I had to read it 5 times.
But there's another person, I mean, so
Yeah.
language,
Yeah, it's just, that's just
We can
my head.
figure all
Yeah,
that.
right.
I feel like maybe just don't write anything verbatim, if I may. Request for extension must be made within 30 days prior to expiration of the original permit. I mean, this something as long as it does not conflict with any other blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like, I understand the point about having it, breaking it up because it kind of runs on it and it confuses two things. But it's just like, this consideration, this extension. I agree. It's because it's like, this is a conflict with something else, that's all we want to say.
Who's considering it? Is it the building safety department? Is it Bartek? Is it the developer? And then they just have to consider it. They don't have to do it. It's not shall.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go back
Right.
and
Right.
make it into 2 sentences. So Bartek, if you could get rid of. So after original permit, just then it would be the rest of the second one, the one in black. The original, I should say,
Go back to the original text.
for at least this last part. So it's kind of a compromise.
Yeah.
So
Just,
expiration of the original permit and that no amendments to this chapter, does that work? I didn't read the one.
Well, that's not quite this,
Well, we're starting from request for extension.
this request will be, this request will be considered as long as it does not conflict with. I'm trying to create a sentence, I'm just trying to create a sentence that isn't,
And that does
such
not,
extensions will be considered as. long
and
as-
if it does not, if it does not conflict with any amendments to this chapter, if it does not conflict.
Yeah, it's good.
So then there would be, and if it does not conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's just with, yeah.
Any, there you go. And then get rid of the must be considered, please.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bartek, for voting me false here.
Are you able to print that out here, Bartek? Are you able to get to that printer?
okay.
Maybe.
No, there was a picture there.
Yeah.
I can try, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
Yeah.
This request for,
Go ahead.
this request for extension must be made within 30 days prior to the expiration of the original permit. That's the point that we need to make, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be that request, which has a time attached to it, will be provided. Provided it does not. In other words, you're making the provided dependent on the request, or the request dependent on the provided.
Oh, but it is dependent on it. They can't get the extension if there's a conflict, but they wouldn't have.
But they can request it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, you could like, yeah, you could turn language into.
Right, which is why I prefer. Just originally said.
We can still make it.
How about if, what if, where it says provided, if it's a new sentence that just says, the extension must not conflict.
There you go.
The extension, this
Right,
extension must not
exactly.
conflict.
So this request for extension must be made within 30 days prior to the original period. Contingent on or provided that does not, and it will be granted provided.
Period after permit. Yeah, and then this extension must not.
Or the granting,
extension.
the granting of the extension must not conflict.
Mhm.
Did you know there's a Supreme Court case that the issue was the word up and what the definition of up means?
Of who?
Up. Yeah, yep, the letter A, up.
Or this is a promise that we're stopping. This extension cannot conflict with, meaning it won't be granted if it conflicts. The extension will not be made, not been conflicts with any of,
So may not.
meaning,
No, I wouldn't say may.
What do you say? Shall not?
Most is it can, that's fine, I mean, I like must,
this extension shall not be granted.
I like must or shall, but yeah, may is a totally different definition.
I think
Still that must, because I think it matches the rest of the language.
okay, but we agree with this, the extension shall not be granted if it conflicts.
Shall not, I like shall.
Okay, so the extension shall not be granted if it conflicts with, and that's crystal clear.
Shall not be granted.
Yes. Okay.
That's what I do all day long.
Oh my God, that's mine, though, man.
All right, take care, and Bartek can print, so this is great.
I'll break it. You can just read it once and understand it.
Nice to be there.
All right. Any further discussions, edits? Questions? Okay, so I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Bartek? Thank you.
Thank you for help.
Yes. On this committee report, because I'm just signing, right?
Do you have ratings?
Your whole stuff will be full, right? But it's bigger.
It's the whole packet.
Oh, sorry.
There's, yeah, sorry.
Initial that with the bill.
You know, we should probably have a file, right?
No.
Let me tell you this.
Where's your side?
Should we just,
Just right there.
I mean, it's not my line.
Nobody knows where
Yeah,
it was. It's very confusing. That works, close enough.
It's we signed on.
Okay, next up is a proposal, submitted by, Andrea. It's a Tullen Ranch horse-drawn carriages.
Yeah, the way we got this was a little back and forth between how this was going to be presented. Tammy went to KPD, went to planning board, but it really has to come through the council, and I'll let her actually talk about the proposal. But we would have to approve of a policy and then approve of a statement. So I put it here because it's about policy first, and then if this committee wants to move forward with an idea, then we have to talk about the thing. So I'm gonna let Tammy come up and give us her proposal.
Okay. Will we be able to put a little picture on the screen or not?
I am not logged in,
Okay.
so,
It's okay.
yeah.
Hi, yeah.
If one of you come sit at the table, please.
I'll sit.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening. I'm Tammy Burley Camden. And my proposal is a horse-drawn carriage business down at the Kingston waterfront. I am a born and raised Kingstonian. and I've been a professional horsewoman my whole life. I left home when I was 18, and I was a professional jockey in my 20s. I rode over 3,000 races. And I came home after I was done with that career, and I ran a business with my husband. We trained racehorses. He passed away 13 years ago. I raised my children alone. And now that I'm older, I don't want to ride as much. I don't want to ride racehorses. So I found a carriage horse that the Amish community owned. And I found the carriage first. And I thought, oh, what a wonderful, unique opportunity to have a side business. I'm drawn to the water. My dad was a tugboat captain. He may have worked on the Matilda, but he worked for that company for over 25 years, the McAllister Tugboat Company. So I'm drawn to the water, and I've been isolated on a ranch for 30 years on the other side of Kingston. And I need to be in the community. So I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to share the horse, the carriage, and get out in the community. So when I made the proposal, I didn't know it was going to go through so many channels. And I was looking forward to the Christmas holiday season. So I asked permission to drive the horse down on the waterfront and train her. And everything went really well from October through December, through Christmas. I drove her on New Year's Day. I did the Chamber of Commerce mixer in early December at the
Snow Shape Festival?
no,
At the Cornell
at
Restaurant.
the Cornell restaurant.
Oh, okay.
I am a DSP worker. I work with young adults on the spectrum. I teach riding lessons as well. And I have a community that I work with. They volunteer and they come to my farm and they spend time with the animals. But this endeavor with the carriage is something on the side, of course. The horse was purchased over a year ago. I got to know her for a year. She was pregnant when I purchased her. So we got through that, and the foal is no longer near her side. She's a professional driving horse. She's 15 years old. She enjoys the road. I have nowhere to train her like on a farm because the carriage it's a refurbished antique carriage. You don't want to be on uneven ground. You want to be on a road. So that's why I've been down at the waterfront training her. The route I've been teaching her is West Strand to Kingston Point and back to the business district. She will stop at stop signs. She will wait for cars to park. She's been introduced to nighttime lighting. I can go in between parked cars, trucks, past ship to shore, under the Ward Street Bridge, a U-turn under Ward Street Bridge, back through the parking lot, and she will go up up Broadway just to Beale Street, the first intersection, and do a U-turn there. That's my route. I'd like to condition her to be able to go all the way past the Tom Gallo Park, past the boats, and then up a Beale, down up a Beale Street, past the Armadillo and back down. And strictly just stay at the Kingston waterfront. I have no desire to go to a snowflake festival. I have no desire to have her out during any special events. It would strictly be like on my terms. Oh, the sun is out. It's a nice cool day. Let's go drive. Like it wouldn't be like I don't know how the business would pan out. Like what days? I wouldn't be out in the heat of the day. I would be out early morning for coffee runs, or maybe late in the evening, in the later part of the afternoon for like cocktail hour. But I'm not into being out in the sunshine all day long. I'm not into having the horse on the road more than 4 hours. I live nearby. I put her on a trailer. I bring her to West Strand. I hook her up, and away I go. Because I have a private lot that the carriage is parked on West Strand. Down past the Culture Center. Oh, also, I introduced the mayor and the carriage to the Irish Cultural Society. They had a volunteer appreciation day, and we gave at least 7 rides that day. So I have not advertised with any money. I just strictly trained her and introduced her to the community the months of November, December. And I'm asking for a vendor's license, so I could possibly make some money to support her and me. So that's where I stand with the surrey on the Strand. It's a beautiful surrey. It has brakes. It has running lights. It has blinkers. It's a modified carriage that belonged to a municipality in the state of Georgia. And someone purchased it and it made its way up to New York. I had full insurance for a full year. I was anticipating going into the holiday season, but I recently just, toned that down for now because I'm not giving riding lessons in the middle of the winter. And I have a business called Tullen Ranch. It's just on the other side of the Rankwood, right by the Rankwood Bridge exit on Route 32. I don't know how the community feels about it. The response that I had been getting, a lot of thumbs up. I know there's a lot of bad press with the horse-drawn carriages in the city of New York City. I am a professional horse person. I care about the horse. That's my utmost, concern. I do have a number of other horses at my farm that it's like sanctuary. So we try to be creative and we, try and create ways to make money, and the horses, they set off, beautiful vibe and a feeling, and I think it's something that would create some economic revenue for the waterfront district.
Questions?
Yeah, can you explain again, I know you already mentioned it, but I want to slow it down a little bit so I could visualize the route. You're not walking on, or you're not going on the actual walkway, are you?
No,
So, but you're going through a parking lot, the parking lot there?
but I had been turning around there. I would, the parking lot down.
Yeah.
By the time I go under the Water Street Bridge, there's 2 exits. It
Right.
seems like there's 2 pieces.
Yeah.
So you go under the bridge and you could come in that peak. And then there's 2 pieces to get out. That's where I have been turning her around. I'd like to condition her, make her strong, so she can go all the way to the end and go up a Beale Street. But I wasn't asking her to go up that hill, early in her training. I kept keeping her on the flat.
Okay. All right, and then, where were you parked? Like, where is this?
The carriage,
Yeah, I mean, not in your own personal time, but if you're running a business in Kingston, where is that going?
where would I pick up?
Where is the starting point where you would be so that people could come,
Well, I thought the city could help me, make a choice. It would be either, I think it would get too crowded in front of the restaurants, too busy.
Yeah.
So it would be like maybe even past the Cornell. There's some vacant lots down there, and there is the trolley, there's like a parking lot there. Like, if I had an email or if somebody was to request a ride, then I could say pick up at Kingston Point. I don't even have to pick up in the city, in the district, the business district. I could pick up all the way at the end of the Ward Street Bridge Road. There's a grassy area down there. You know, I thought this town would help me with some of the decisions.
I was just wondering what your thoughts were. That's all.
I could pick up anywhere. She's very, very well mannered horse and wherever, it seemed feasible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The insurance that you mentioned, does that like hold the city harmless and?
Yes.
what- Okay. And
Well,
how-
you did not,
yeah.
but that would be part of our
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah,
That would have to be.
But sure.
I've seen you several times, and it was so surprising and really sweet and charming. I think just from that angle, what a nice addition, and you're asking me good questions. I was just so, charmed as a person living there and walking past and seeing that, so it's interesting.
Thank you.
So, I'm a bit concerned about cars and carriages, and I think that's what some of the issues in New York City where it's just this, tension, and, but now there's lots of pedestrians, there's lots of cars, traffic out of the city, and then you get carriages and horses getting spooked. I am not an sports expert, not, I do not progress know much about horses, to be honest. But I'm just, trying to understand how that might drive and then wound up with cars not expecting to see a carriage. And then my other question is like, if we open the policy for this person who legitimately know what you're doing, how do we say no to somebody else who we might not have as much confidence in?
Yeah, if we establish something like that, then it would be KPD who issues those, so it would be their decision, not ours. I guess depending on what it is, but that one would have been KPD, someone would be planning. So, yes, we would be establishing it, but then we wouldn't really have that much say.
it would be like under the vendor license. Like the
That's what I-
solicitor, peddler, yeah, which.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused as to why this is for our consideration, because it is a vendor's license.
Because we don't have anything, there was, when Tammy went to KPD to get a vendor's license, there's nothing in our code that would allow something like this. So we would need
We
to,
have to write some.
we would need to write something into the code
I see.
to allow it, and then once we allow it, it's allowed. Like Marissa was saying, then it would be up to whichever department to do that.
Could there be
I'm sorry.
Could there be a temporary, a part of the code that says temporarily, we're trying this with one?
No, because when you change the code, you're like literally go to local law, like no matter what, it's a process that's the same no matter if it's temporary or not.
Well, I mean temporary in that it's, an experiment with one vendor. And we're not opening it up to 10 potential other carriages.
Well, we could limit the language, you could say only so many.
We're also giving
Licenses
business to
or-
one
yeah.
person without giving business to
Yeah.
others, so we can't do that.
But can we, have a limit to how many? Like, let's say, because we wanna experiment with it now, we limit it to 3 potential vendors, and we only have 1 right now, but we would allow 3 so that to comply with not being exclusive, yet. Not being exclusive.
That maybe that's beautiful. I would also just say that we should, maybe talk to council about this, because there are gonna be some legal issues that we would have to address, and one of them, you mentioned cars, but I'm thinking also pedestrians, dogs. Like, there's more things that, we wanna think about, that I'm happy to hear that it's not on sidewalks, because that, not on sidewalks, but is it the walkway, is that what it would be called? Like, because that would be problematic in my opinion, because it would be big enough.
And I
Have a walker,
too.
yeah, and to have, sharing, the road with bicyclists, it's hard down there already, it's so congested that I think we need to.
I'm just saying Bob was next.
Well, why couldn't we do a pilot? Instead of doing, why commit to a policy that we don't have enough background on to really consider? And we have to talk to Lee, we have to talk to the operating portion of the city. But I would be more comfortable with a pilot than with a policy in place that we might have to change later.
But we can always change the policy.
I understand, but pilot appeals to me that, we're not committing, we're not, you can even put a time limit on the pilot, do it for a year, do it for 2 years, see what happens.
That's what Rich tells me.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that, I would rather have everything cleaned up and
Right.
considered before we say yes to the first one, because things could happen with the first one, there's things could happen with the fourth one if we decide to make it permanent.
My fear is that it could take a long time.
Everything in government moves
I
slow,
understand.
but it does for a reason, in my opinion, it does for a reason so that we could be thoughtful in our decision making.
I understand.
I know it's frustrating.
Tara, is there a way that we could, in the granting of a vendor's license, dedicate for a fee a certain stretch in the city? You've identified the stretch that you want, being down the roundup. And so that would be her area. And then anybody else that would want to have a similar business, that their route would necessarily be someplace different? Is there a way to do that?
I tend to agree with Andrea. If you're gonna do that, you need to have a competitive process, either an RFP or some process, so that you don't end up favoring one person.
Yeah, because I could say to Marissa, because I give her this route and then, I like Ruth too, so I'll give her that, but then the person who lives across the street from me who I actually do like. But pretend I don't, and not give them, we just have to be careful.
Maybe subject to a competitive, right now, there is no competition, and there has not been. So.
I think we're putting the cart before
I like the
horse.
idea.
I think we're putting the cart before the horse. I think we should determine the legality of a horse on the street and all of those pieces, and then
And public safety.
yeah,
So-
right, and then work up to how.
Yeah, so, one of the things I want to say about, because I've witnessed, this several times, is that it's super calm, very calm. And as it turns out for now, there's very little traffic and it's just such an obvious, unusual thing that I think cars would slow down if they're already speeding or that kind of thing.
You're going to learn
Yeah.
really quickly that speeding is the number one concern of all.
Yes, I know that, yeah.
So before you
Yeah.
say that, you'll get plenty of phone calls
Yeah.
telling you the exact opposite of that. And I don't want to put anybody in harm's way before we have everything lined up.
Well, but 2 points I just want to make now is that I love the idea of a pilot project with a time limit, maybe, a year or something to give it a chance, because it seems like it's been really nice so far in the few times you've done it. And also to consider, because Tammy's got all this experience as a trainer, to help us write, if we decide to go forward with it after the pilot project, that she could help us write what the requirements would be of any future person who wanted to do any future
The
vendor.
problem with that is you would make it so that she couldn't compete for it,
Right.
and you don't want to do that. If she writes the specifications, she can't compete for it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe she could help us find someone who could. Just, that could be part of it. We want to make sure it's a responsible
Yeah.
person who has trained the horse properly and all that stuff.
I just had one really quick question, just going back at the humane aspect of this. Do you use whips at all? Or,
I carry one for safety.
okay. And what does that mean? If,
Okay, so the proper tire for any driving, carriage and a driver, it's part of the attire. You have the reins in your head and you have the stick in your hand. If the horse was to veer off course, the stick would help guide. Because all you're left with is a set of reins. The stick is not to make her go faster. The stick is there to guide her. You can either use the whip to the left. If she sees maybe a little dog that's barking at her feet, she's gonna look at it. She's a live animal. She might look at it, and you just tickle her a little bit to keep her straight. You'd have to carry one.
okay.
I wouldn't feel comfortable without carrying one.
Okay.
I could see that, there are a lot of T's and I's stuff. I understand, what's gonna happen.
This is all brand new.
Well,
Yeah.
2 days after I was driving I like to go out on like a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, when I'm done with my chores. My girlfriend loves to go out to eat at the Ship to Shore. And while she was parallel parking her car, and 2 people were waiting behind her so she could parallel her little car, the guy got rear-ended. His car bumped that car, and she had just gotten into her spot. And it made me double think, made me think twice. Do you really want to be down there with a horse and carriage? Right there in front of Ship to Shore, somebody gets rear-ended. That's kind of where I wanted to drive. It could be dangerous.
Yeah, and that was my thoughts when I was talking about public safety is for everybody, including yourself.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid we would get stranded with a pedestrian in the back.
Right, or just you.
So maybe if it was a certain area, like you said, that could be designated, if it was a novelty, if it was something the city thought they wanted on Saturdays and Sundays afternoon, kind of like the trolley train has their certain hours. It could just be a novelty, just so, and then that way this town knows the horse is on the road every Saturday from 2 to 4, or Sundays 11 to 2.
Yeah, and then
Just to put it out there.
all the festivals that happen downtown.
I would exclude from that.
I think that would be.
It's not fair to the horse.
Right.
Like I said, I care about the horse. That's a lot of energy and a lot of activities. But, yeah.
I say we're just a couple quick questions and then we're gonna wrap up this presentation.
Yeah, again, I don't have questions, I just throw out all the questions.
Yeah, we're not gonna move forward with the pilot program because we just have to take, we can't just, I get what you're saying and I understand it, but the more I'm thinking of it, we can't just throw out an idea like this without, as Tammy said, crossing our T's and dotting our I's. So why don't I can be the point person, or if anybody else wants to be the point person on this, gathering some questions, then getting it to council. But I think that's where we have to start, but not establish a pilot program.
I have one last question. Manure.
I have an attached bag that goes on her harness, but believe it or not, I've been out there at least 19 times. She has not pooped on it. She poops in her trailer when she gets back to the lot. I don't know what that's all about. But I have the attached bag. We clip it to the harness.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Nice
letting
to
me
meet you.
try.
What's the horse's name?
Her name is Cindy.
Cindy. Okay.
I'll be in touch. I'll reach out.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so moving on to old business.
Really fun stuff.
Administrative code review, chapters 1 and 172-16. So we are, just for our new members, we are in the process of going through the code and making updates. A lot of stuff is irrelevant, outdated, different parts, well, the code will mention things that may not exist any longer in the city, so we're going through it chapter by chapter, so.
So, I took on the owner's task of doing so. So each month I will present whatever chapter I'm working on. So it will take some time, about 2 years to get this done. So starting really simple. So chapter 1, so the local law that we sent back, or you guys sent back to committee last month. Actually this month. I had changed, there's a couple errors in the titles that was what the local law fixed. But then reading through the whole chapter, there were other things that needed to be fixed and I wanted to fix. I have it probably 66% done. And what I'm doing is making it fit the practices of the city that we do, bringing any concerns, if there are, so far I haven't found any concerns. And also changing it not to layperson language, but to more modern legal language, which is a little easier to understand. So I will, on the longer chapters, I will get that to you ahead of the meetings so that you can take a look at them. But one that is time sensitive, I didn't make enough of these, but you got a bunch of care. So this is section 172. 16.
So we're still gonna table chapter 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's almost done, so I
Gotcha.
should have here, I can pull it up on my computer. So I changed the language a little bit, so it's easier to read. But the real thing that we have to discuss, because in the originals you can see, it says, shall be punishable by a fine of not more than specified amount. And that is actually what it says in our code currently.
And this is, can you just say what this article and chapter are part of?
Oh, this is for, let me pull it up exactly. Violations and enforcement penalties for offenses,
For
or building.
building, okay.
Administration. Thank you. I should probably put that on there next time. This is the first one I did, so. So yeah, so that's what it says, specify amount and then imprisonment not exceeding specified time period. I'm suggesting fine not exceeding $1,000 for each day, which that's the ceiling, not the floor. And then I eliminated imprisonment because I just don't believe in imprisoning people for the most part. However, those are suggestions, and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts if you do want to imprison people or not. That's really hard for anybody to say, I do now.
Is the suggested paragraph the original with the crossed out, is it the track changes thing?
I didn't do track changes on it. I just struck that out there because I wanted it to be obvious that I was.
Okay, but the rest is the same as the original.
No, the language is slightly different.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I hate track changes because it's so messy looking. So I'm obsessive compulsive, probably obvious.
So that's the original, is that, that's been in the code for a while. So they're not part, it wasn't part of the more reason.
No.
Okay.
It just literally said specified time period or like in specified amount, like there was nothing in there, so we're just updating the time period of the amount.
Yeah, I can't say
And then-
the date is, but yeah, it's been here for a while.
Sure.
Yeah, does this include noise ordinance?
No,
No.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, that's, would it include a violation of the noise ordinance?
not on this section.
Ask questions?
Sure.
Yes. So with regard to like building permits and all that, the only thing I'm thinking of, so it's any person, so it's like the guy, the general contractor and the person working for the general contractor, or
It's, I think, who the permit is issued to, the name.
who the permit is issued to.
Right, but it could be other,
It's liable.
So, okay, so it's who the permit is issued to. And then, so if it's some gigantic development, they could kind of consider $1,000 the cost of doing business. That's what
Right.
I'm worried about. I mean, I like the HVAC because.
is everybody okay with not impersonating people?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's some people I wouldn't mind.
I just, like how it tends to work is that if the building department issues a violation, like in the first instance, and it's not, like, they have so much time to correct it. And then if they don't, then a fine could be given, and then like they still have another amount of times to correct it. So you don't want to go right to 1,000, you want to escalate it, like to the amounts.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, if there's some like really egregious thing that they're violating, and it's a big developer.
Yeah, but it'd be per day. It could be per day. Yeah.
Oh, per day. Oh, for each day.
So it's safe to say that it's to the discretion of the building
Yeah.
and up to $1,000.
Per day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it exceeding $1,000, like, so I
Yeah.
want 1,500.
It's guided by state law.
It's guided by state law. So 1,000 is the absolute.
Is the ceiling?
Too bad. And then my other question, because this is about construction. Why wouldn't noise be?
It's just,
It's where it is in the code. Sorry.
Say that again?
It's where it's located, what section we're working on, so.
we should do that in text, but never in person.
And when you're subject to a variance anyway.
If it's constructed noise, it could just be regular noise.
Correct.
The reason why I pulled this one out too is because there have been requests from council to get this done.
Yeah.
It's important to get this done.
I agree.
And how many do you have to work on?
There's like 400 chapters.
Come on, 2 years? Come on, don't sell yourself short. 6 months.
405, but I don't have to do 4 or 5. That's the zoning code that was already redone. So.
Actually, we do need to do, there is, actually, we have to redo, but that's it.
But I won't have to do, like, we could just do pieces of it. Yeah. And this has to be a local.
I support it. I'm good with the, some of the,
So we're looking for a motion to make this change?
I'm just writing up the committee report, so just if there's any more questions, have at it.
So I'm gonna officially get rid of the imprisonment. And I shouldn't have said that. I kind of made it so I didn't think that would be a choice. Be better next time.
Okay, so, I'll read the committee report, local law of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending Article 2, Chapter 172-16C1 as per attached. Can I get a motion? Ready? And a second. Marissa. Okay, any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. I will sign my name, I think, up here, so. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
You want me to send a clean copy of this?
Sure. Still, even when I sign up there, I don't think it's still.
It's weird. Yeah, bombs is weird.
be sure.
Okay, that's right now.
Sure. I'm sorry? I'm not sure. Yes.
Not everyone's here, like,
So
No, it's, I moved up the line and then it still didn't move out, so. All right, we got it, we have 24 minutes to get her. All right, so we want to just sort of give a little update on things that are gonna come back before this committee. We have the Charter Review Commission. That is currently, there's a review committee looking at the consultants that answered our RFP. So that review,
How many?
3.
Michelle, myself, and Sarah are on from the council.
And then also, Elisa, the mayor, and Barbara Grace Poller, and John Toohey. So I think that we are convening a meeting next Friday, yeah. To meet with 2 of the consultants that responded, and then we'll have a wrap-up meeting shortly after that to choose one, and then as soon as that is they're chosen, we'll know then how quickly the process will. It's going to be pretty fast to roll out because we're working on a time limit. So. Yeah.
There are conversations yet about how we as a council communicate to the public about the process?
Nothing yet.
Your communication, is that going to be,
It'll be part of like who the vendor will be and what they envision and how they're gonna do that, so.
I'm gonna say that's one of the big things
Right.
that we were concerned of, and I interview that is going to be one of our big questions, is how they're going to help the council and the city, and the public is well engaged at the whole process.
well, not just that, but educate them about, because, I mean, we're going to be having the, lottery process where so in order to get people even enticed for thinking that they might, have a role to play in that, they need it.
Right, well, that's for the public education, but I think, yeah.
And then my other question, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead, yeah.
No, you're on a roll.
I have 2 questions. I'm so sorry. So once the consultant is chosen and hired, then does that committee that dissolve?
The review committee.
Yeah, it dissolves, okay.
So my question was gonna be, how many people are on the charter committee?
It will be 18 for our alternates. And the council gets to choose 3 people, the mayor will choose 3 people, and then the rest will be
12 people from the community. So I guess my only concern was 12 people from the community, which are gonna be all volunteers. Okay? How do you get them to commit? I mean, what is the vetting out process to get these people to commit to something as important as what we're about to be undertaking?
I will.
My question is, what is the vetting process to make sure these people commit?
I think that can be,
Because how many times, I mean, I'm on a lot of volunteer boards, okay? And I see some people take a position on a volunteer board because they like to check their box because it looks good on their resume. And you know what? They said it best with tuna fish, you don't need it just to taste good, it has to look good too, in yours. So along those lines, I guess my question is, how do you find 12 people that are actually want to commit to this? Because it's going to be tough work. And you want to know something? I don't want to see it. You don't want to see it just laid on the backs of 6 people that are committed to do this.
Yeah. I think that those are really valid concerns, and I think that can be built into the process of outreach, and then like seeing how what the consultant says about vetting, how we can do that, and that's also why we've got 4.
I know you guys are gonna be
Yeah.
a consultant, so it's just something,
Yeah, no, it's a really good concern, thank you.
So I would have reached out to some people on my board and said, look for this.
Yeah, I mean, we have people contacting us,
That'll be no problem.
Tal.
You know, I was actually going to raise the point that we had the 4 alternates.
Or the back.
Because we considered this and, you know.
I mean, yes, we all have a role to play in terms of generating excitement and, sense of civicness, and
Yeah.
participation, and that this is a rare opportunity. And I think we can be out talking to the people in our boards, like this is why you wanna participate if you can.
when was the last time the charter was reviewed?
30.
30 years ago.
30 years.
Okay, so 30, so it's historic. How's it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking also we have to be realistic with when you're talking to community members, realistic with how much work it will be. Instead of, when they got us to run for the council, and it's not just a couple meetings a month. That's what I was told. But of course, here I was.
That's how they real jaded, yeah.
Yep. But here I am, still here. So being realistic with that, but otherwise, I don't think, who knows? Sometimes you have so many volunteers that you think they're going to do the work and they surprise you by not, and vice versa, and that you can't control. But with the alternates, that'll be helpful.
So what I'm working on for this term is to have on the Microsoft Drive folders for laws and rules with each of the pieces of legislation or issue or policy that we're working on, and then everybody can access. And so instead of like go back and find this email, right? And so we have like a central repository for everything. And if there's something that we're all working on, instead of passing around multiple copies, we could have it track changing or something, you know what I mean, in one place, just
It's
to
a
make.
2026 idea.
Make sure. Yeah, it's getting set up, and then I will send the links to everyone, so.
I know there's a OneDrive.
Yeah. And then the tree ordinance had been before us last year. It's been updated, so it's sort of, our urban forester will come back next month and officially present it, but I'll make sure everybody has it. I can send it this week because we have it already. But it's pretty much like starting over with that. Is there any other than these changes?
So the ones that
Yeah.
were on and moved back.
Yeah. We wanna kind of be slow, not slow, but a little deliberate in what we approve, not necessarily approve things the night it's presented. Really make sure that we understand it, that our constituents understand it, that we're not rushing to decisions before our constituents understand it and know and have chances to weigh in, so. Any questions? Okay. So it is 7:55. If I get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
No, thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
I don't care.